Alright, so what we have here is, this is called the Analog2HDMI, and what this is if you've ever seen or if you've ever used the Wii to HDMI type adapters that you can get commonly on places like AliExpress and things like that and eBay, this is basically the same thing, only better. Now what I mean by that is, the ones you get on eBay, AliExpress, the cheap ones, are not really designed very well. There's a lot of signal degradation and various other issues with it. But this is smaller, and this plans to address all of those issues with those devices. So this is from a company called Electron Shepherd, I believe. And this was sent to me free of charge to try out basically and just test and see what it's like. So I've got no doubt that it's going to perform great, but what I plan to do is I plan to use this on my PS2. So what I've done is, as you can see, I've got a PS2 multi-out connector with a bit of wire on the end, and I've designed a little enclosure to put it in, which is actually the first time I've designed anything in 3D and 3D printed it myself. So yeah, that's a first for me. I've tested it out, it fits, it's all good. But what I plan to do is, I'm just going to have like a, this will go into the PS2 and this will be on like the end of it like that, and then your HDMI will plug in to the back. So that's the idea behind that. So I guess I'll just jump straight in, and we'll see how this goes. So what I'm going to do first is, well, I want to strip this back. Now how much of this do I want to strip back, I'm not too sure, because if I put this inside the enclosure, as you can see, there's little rails there to slide it through. So if you slide that in there like that, you can see it comes to almost the end. So I'm going to want about, what would you say, like, can't really work it out to be honest. The wires need to stretch to the sides, so I'd probably say about that much, maybe. Yeah, we'll go with that. About an inch should be enough. These wire strippers are crap as well. Should really get some better ones. Yeah, we'll do it about there. Yeah, they're not very good, these wire strippers, so I've got to kind of press down to get them to actually strip the wire. These wires are incredibly thin as well. This is just a cheap SCART cable that I got on eBay. That's the other end of it. Yeah, so this isn't like shielded or anything. It's not an expensive cable. It was like £4 maybe, something like that. It's not expensive, but because it's only a tiny short length of wire, it doesn't need to be shielded really. You're not really going to pick a lot of interference up with that length of wire. So we'll get all these wires set with the only wire I don't think I'm going to need, because this is obviously this was for a SCART cable. Well, I'm not using RGB, I'm using component, and component doesn't use the sync wire that RGB uses. So I think the only wire I'm not going to need is the sync wire. So I think I'll just cut that off now, just so it's out of the way. It makes my life a little bit easier. Just be careful not to cut any of the wires. Ah, these snips are crap. Get some more. There we go. That'll do. That'll do nicely. I apologise for not uploading any videos for quite a while now. I just haven't really had the motivation lately. I'm sure a lot of other people that do YouTube videos will, they'll know what I mean. You get to a point where you just can't really motivate yourself to do very much in terms of like videos and stuff. Now I think I'm just going to use my fingernails to strip this, because me being the Neanderthal that I am, I haven't cut my nails in quite a while, so that'll come in handy. I believe my soldering iron is on. Yes, it is. Now, because this is going in an enclosure, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to thread all this stuff on here first before I start soldering anything on, otherwise, well, yeah, it's not going to work, is it? So I'll feed this through here first, just so that's done. Push that all the way at the end. And I also have, because once this is inside there, there's nothing to really stop you from pulling the wire, so there's no strain relief or anything like that. So my solution to that is to just use a couple of little bits of heat shrink and just heat shrink that over there once it's on, and then hopefully that'll, you know, hopefully that'll hold it nicely in place and it won't come off. I don't plan on like pulling it or anything like that, but it's, you know, nice to be secure. Just thread these over here. This is a pretty ghetto way of doing a strain relief, but if it works and it's the easiest method, why not? Okay, so we've got the strain relief on, we've got the end of the enclosure on. I think that's all I need, to be honest. Now I'm going to tin these wires. Where's my helping hands? There they are. I'm going to tin these wires as I go, so that so the wires don't get frayed or anything like that. It just keeps me right. I should have really changed the tip on this iron, to be honest, but never mind. It'll work. Now I want to double check, because I'm not sure if this is going to go through the hole. Oh, it does, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so we've got red. Oh, actually no, you'd think that would be the red signal for component, red, green, blue, but actually that's right audio. The red signal is the orange wire. Yeah, I've already looked this up beforehand. Okay, I'll just plod through these one at a time. Feel free to skip the video forward a little bit if, you know, this might take a while sort of thing. Okay, now I believe the ground wire is grey. I believe grey is audio ground, and brown, I think? Brown is video ground? Oh, ground's ground, it doesn't really matter, but yeah. I know that white is my left audio, so that'll go with the audio there, and black is the 5 volts, which is used to power this. Now, powering this runs off 5 volts, the same as the Analog2HDMI adapters that you can get. But as you can see, there is no USB connection on that, so we'll have to figure out how to power this. Now, I have an idea how I'm going to do this. I'll explain it later. But it should be cleaner than the, you know, how the Analog2HDMI adapters have this USB port on the side that you plug in and then it plugs into the front of the... I'm not going to bother with any of that. I'm going to try something a bit more streamlined when I get round to it. So I'll just continue stripping these. Sorry if I'm out of shot yet. what I'll do as well, at the end of the video, I'll throw up some comparison videos between the cheap HDMI, Wii to HDMI type adapters and this, so you can get an idea of, you know, how much of an improvement this is over those. Improvements will be like better color accuracy, less interference, things like that, less wavy interference patterns, that kind of thing, or hopefully none at all. Hopefully there won't be any interference patterns at all. That's the goal. These things can be used. These can be used on, you know, any console, any game console, or any source really that outputs either a composite, sorry, not composite, so a component signal or an RGB HV signal, which is like 31 kilohertz RGB. You know, you get from like VGA sources, things like that. Anything like that, this will work with. So like your most common uses are going to be things like the PlayStation 2, like what I'm doing here. The Xbox, the original Xbox, that's probably another popular use for this. But anything that can output a VGA or a component signal really will work fine with this. Now what we got left? Black, which is 5 volts. I should have done this off camera really before I started the video, but whatever. You can always skip forward if it's boring, which it is. Even I find this boring, this part. Oh, I hate this iron tip. I should have changed it. It's impossible to get it clean sometimes. I need a better wire sponge as well. I'm going to have to buy one sometime soon. Brown, which is video ground. Like I say, the grounds don't really matter. They're all connected together. As long as they're wired up, that's all that matters. Okay, I think that's all of them done. Yep, looks like it is. Okay. So, the easiest way to do this is probably... Right, I'm going to have to feed this over here first. So that's going to have to come over there like that. Because that's got to go back. That's got to go back over the adapter once it's soldered in place. So that's got to go on there. Now, let's see. We've got left and right audio. If you look left and right, it's all marked up so you can see what's what. So you've got left and right audio at the top. All of these points here on the left side, these are all ground. And the ones on the right, on the inside, these are all your signal wires. Now, if you buy one of these, I'll put links in the description to where to buy this. But if you do buy one of these, you can get them in 2 versions. There's one that comes with a little capacitor right there for sync on green, which is for component. And there's another version you can get that doesn't have that capacitor there, and that's for VGA sources, for your RGB HV. So you would choose whichever one you need when you check out. Right, so let's see. So my audio signals are on this side here. That's handy, it's labelled up on the back as well. Cool. Right, so my right audio is this one here, if I can see where that is. There it is there. Alright, how am I going to do this? Helping hands always comes in handy for stuff like this. Okay. This might be a little bit on the awkward side, getting these wires through these holes. Let's see if I can do this. Let you get them closer together a bit. I've lost my red wire. Where's it gone? There it is. Yeah. What might make this a bit easier is if I use my little tweezers just to get that through there. Are you going to play ball? Come on, I've nearly got you. There we go. Okay, well, I can go ahead and solder that into place now. Like so. I'm really tempted to change this iron tip. Okay, so that's in place. I could bring it in a bit closer, possibly. Okay, so that's right audio. The white wire is, if I can see where it is, there it is. That's not tangled around anything, is it? No. So the white wire is left audio. Oh, I think I've got it. There we go. Put that in place. Horizontal and vertical sync are not used because we're using component. So red, green and blue are labelled nicely there. And then we can get those wired up. Now I need to... I wonder if it's easier if I flip this over like that. Yeah, see now I can get these wires in place better. If you're wondering why the audio probably sounds slightly different, I recently did some cleaning up and I've moved this room around completely. So now my microphone on my computer is like the other side of the room now. So I'm basically just using the microphone on the camera. So I hope it sounds alright. It should sound fine, but you never know. Some people might be like sensitive to like crap audio and things like that. Right, so the first signal here is blue. Let's just route these wires a bit better. Now if I remember rightly, this orange wire is this orange wire ground? Oh no, the orange wire is the red signal, of course it is. I literally just said it earlier on. So let's flip blue around, feed it through the hole. If it wants to play it, does it want to play it? Right, so how am I going to do this without it coming out? It's already come out. Never mind. It might be easier to just do it by hand like this and then flip it over myself. Like that. It might be easier just to do that. Oops, I pushed that through a little bit much there. Right, that's not the cleanest connection, but that's okay, I'll tidy it up in a bit. I just want them in place first. Right, blue, that's my red signal, so I'm going to feed that over here. Like that. Green is next. It's come out. That works out nicely. Now I can just go ahead and solder that in place. Like that. Tidy that blue signal up a bit. Orange wire is red. Get that in place. Don't come out, it's come out. There we go, get that back into place there. And the last one, well the last of the signals anyways, is 5 volts, which is the black wire. Okay, and the last 2 wires are just ground, which I can wire up pretty much anywhere. We'll do one on either side, why not? Do that one there. We'll do this one on this side. Okay, so that's now wired up. That blue wire could be probably done a bit better. I could probably push that through a bit. Let me zoom it out a little bit. Alright, let's see if I can push this blue wire through a little bit more. A bit more than that. That'll do. Now I'm going to snip these short a bit because some of them are sticking out quite far. You can see there. So I'll just snip these short. Again, I apologise if I'm out of shot a little bit. Just trying to tidy this up a little bit. Okay. Now the fun part. So what I want to do is, I want this to lie somewhat flush, because I want this to come in like this. So the wire's going to come in like that. That's going to go along to there. Yep. But before I do that, I need to do the heat shrink. So I'm going to feed them through there, like that. Now if you notice, I've got two small bits and a big bit. I'm going to do the small bits first. If I can get them through there, like that. Get me hot air station going. Apologies for the noise. I have a feeling this camera microphone is probably going to pick this noise up. Don't want to do that for too long because I don't want to melt the wire. Because that would be bad. There we go. So, with that round there like that, once it's cooled down, it should create a nice little cable tie. A nice little strain relief to stop it from sliding back through that hole. Okay, so we'll push this further up here again. Slide it onto the rails. Like so. Now, there's no clips or anything to hold this in place. My intention is to just use a bit of super glue just to hold these caps on the end. So that's going to go like that. That's going to go like that, and then that'll be glued into place. Like that. And that'll be that end done. And the other end is basically the same. That'll just sit on top of there like that, and I'll use a bit of super glue to hold that in place. And then that'll just basically be it, complete. And you'll have a nice little adapter. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump to the next part of the video where I prepare the PlayStation, because like I said before, there's no USB port on this to power it. It's going to be powered through this. So what my intention is to basically, the multi-out port on the PS2 provides 5 volts, but it's only for switching signals, for like if you're using a SCART cable, for example, for RGB. That 5 volt signal will be sent to the TV to tell the TV to switch over to the SCART channel. Now, in theory, you'd think you'd be able to just use that 5 volts to power this, but it doesn't give off enough current to actually power these. So what my plan is to disconnect that 5 volt signal in the PS2 from the multi-out port, and then patch the 5 volts from the USB port over to the multi-out. So that 5 volt signal that you would normally get on the multi-out is actually coming from the USB port, which does have enough current to power these. And in theory, that will allow me to just plug this straight into the back of the PS2 without any external power like USB cables or anything. And yeah, that should just work like that, hopefully. So that's my plan. What I'll do is I'll just cut straight over to that, and you can see what it looks like finished. So I'll do that now. Okay, as you can see, I've finished this part. What I've done is, if I just bring in a little bit closer here, yeah, that'll do. Well, basically, what I've done is, I've took the ignore all this here, these green wires, just ignore all that. That's the IDE to SD mod that I did to my PlayStation a while ago. The only thing that's relevant to this is this red wire here. So what I've done is, I've tapped the 5 volts from the USB port there, just like I've done there for this. I've tapped the 5 volts from the USB port, and I've took it down to the multi-out connector down here. Now this is where the 5 volt signal would normally be for like channel switching with Scott cables and things like that, which doesn't provide enough amperage to power these converters. So I've tapped the 5 volts from there and patched it in there where the 5 volts usually is. So that will give us the 5 volts from the USB port, which is more than enough to power one of these, and that will allow us to just plug it in directly into the back of the PS2, and it should be good. In theory this should work. Obviously I don't know if it's going to work or not because I haven't tried it yet, but you know, these things are usually powered through the USB port, so you know, logic would say that you could just do this and you would get the same result. So yeah, I'll put all this back together and then we'll give it a test and see what it looks like. So I'll stop the video here and then I'll just jump straight into some comparison videos. So yeah, I think you can probably see a noticeable improvement there in the videos that I've recorded. So yeah, this is what it looks like when it's finished. You've got your connector there and just a little box on the end. Yeah. So yeah, I'll have the links in the description for everything you need if you want to make one of these yourself. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.